Well, hello there, Rufus. How are you doing today?
You started?
Oh, the shtick continues.
Nice. Well, this is my business, and it's like, oh,
Whoa. On today's show, I was thinking maybe we could talk about, drum roll please, the things that kids today that we had growing up that kids today just wouldn't understand.
what's it called? TiVo or whatever, where you can like record on the cable the shows you're watching. So like what I said to them, it's like when we were kids, you had one shot. It's like, it's like a lot of times they didn't even do repeats. It was like, so if you missed
Right.
if you missed a certain episode or something, it's like, you had to like hope it came back.
Well, the great thing about TiVo, too, was that you could then play it back and edit out the commercials.
Yeah.
Which was, right? That was the great thing. Now, it was funny because I was trying to explain to my son, my older son, hanging out with me, we're watching TV, and I put on like an old clip of Soul Train. You know, remember every Saturday morning there'd be Soul Train, and then there was American Bandstand. I was kind of, the black population would watch Soul Train, and the white population would watch American Bandstand, which had been on since 50s, and we kind of went back and looked at that as well. But it was just such a, like he had heard of American Bandstand in popular culture, like in a song mentioned, but like he had no idea what that was. Do you remember that every Saturday morning?
Well, I never watched it. I remember it being on.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the animated, the Soul Train coming in. That was usually my cue to like turn off the TV because it's like noon now. And I pissed away half the day watching TV.
Yeah, after the Bugs Bunny was over, it was time to get out of there, man.
Well, yeah, after Bugs Bunny, then you'd have like some of the B grades, like the Hanna-Barbera, like the Laugh Olympics and all that. And then usually by the time it would just peter out, like, Fat Albert would come on, usually around like, I think it was like 11 or something. That was usually, it's like that was like, my mother. It's like, that was like, her cue to kick us out.
Yeah, right. Well, there was also, if you were lucky, you got a Spider-Man. That was always cool. After school.
Superheroes. Like,
good. Can I jump around the couches, pretend I was Spider-Man?
Wow.
Pretty awesome.
No, the only superhero I really got into, I shouldn't even say got into it, I would watch was, because my brother would watch it, was like the old Batman show.
Yeah, that was a classic.
And then sometimes, you'd play with I could play with the rabbit ears and get the U channels. And, I think it was called 67. Yeah, you could tune into the Lone Ranger and the Adventures of Superman.
Listen, with the rabbit ears, there's something they don't remember. Like antennas, you know what I mean? Like they do not understand. Like every house back in the 70s, 80s had like a metal thing coming out the roof. And, with those like 6 different cross horizontal bars, right? Like those are gone. You don't see those anymore. So TV antennas, that's certainly one thing. Anyway, going back to this other night, I'm hanging out with my son. We're going over American Bandstand history, blah, blah, American pop culture. And as I'm watching this old YouTube rerun of somebody basically hitting record on the VHS, like you got the full commercials too. And like, I forgot how long the commercials were. And at some point, like I get up, I'm leaving. My wife goes, "Hey, where are you going?" I thought I'd just go get a soda during the commercials. Like you haven't heard that one in a while while the commercials were running. Cause it was like, seemed like 5 minutes, if not longer, of these like all 1 minute ads. Like, the 1 minute ad is gone, now it's down to like an eighth of a second.
Well, not really. If you watch on YouTube and stuff, the commercials could be painless. But because I remember watching even up until last year, it's like, we'd be watching, my kid we really loved that show, The Loud House, be watching some of that stuff, like on actual, Nickelodeon or whatever it is. The freaking they go on and on. It's like, now it's like with regular broadcast TV. By the time the show comes back, you almost forgot what the heck you were watching to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Broadcast TV. There you go. I mean, they don't remember like ABC, NBC, and CBS dominant. Like now it's like Netflix has more content than all those guys combined,
And then
and there's about 50 other options if you don't like Netflix, So,
but that was what was kind of weird was it's like you used to go to like, in our area when we were a kid, you had channel 2, 4, and 7. Those were the major networks, ABC, NBC, CBS. Then you had channel 5, which was WNEW. Before it became Fox. Channel 11 was WPIX, and channel 9 was WOR. And 5, 11, and 9. Those, to a kid, those were the keys. Yeah, the adults had 2, 4, and 7. The kids had 5, 11, and 9 because those were the garbage stations. Yeah, if you want to see like, the old, Tarzan movies or the cartoons in the afternoon after school, that's where you went. And then the problem was with cable, and like mergers and everything, the shit networks upped their game to compete. So now it's like, you had to go out and to another thing they can't relate to. You'd have to go to Blockbuster to rent all the shitty old movies that you used to get to watch for free. Like you and me with our nightly mold fest. It's like you send like last night, ILM for Murder. It's like you'd either have to wait until that came on some crappy late show, or you'd have to go out and rent it.
Yeah, exactly. And if you brought it back like 2 days late, it was like 3 times the original cost. If you didn't rewind, all that stuff is gone with streaming now.
Yeah, in a way, I dig streaming. But then in a way, I kind of buy some series on Amazon, and watch it. But it's like now you can't do screen records anymore because with the last update of Windows, you need Windows 7 or earlier to still have access to the screen recording software. Yeah, but it just kind of bothers me because it's like, you pay for this stuff on Amazon and then, it could just disappear at will because you don't own the show. You only own the rights to the access to the show.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's like...
What about cassette tapes?
Oh, that's all.
You remember cassette tapes?
Remember?
Like for little, because you would make a mixtape of you'd hit the record on your boombox. There's another thing they don't, get, and you would basically, and now it's all Bluetooth speakers, and you would record things from the radio, right? Make a mixtape, or, maybe you had a record player if you were one of the posh kids, and you could make your own...
I could make tape straight from the record player. Yeah.
Well, you, Mr. Got a pachinko parlor in my basement,
I have a pachinko parlor. I had an old pachinko machine. I had to share it.
Felt like a parlor in 6th grade.
Thought that was the other thing too. Fortunately, it's like my everyday car, my minivan is so old that it actually has a cassette tape in it. But I put one of the adapters in. And then I just plug because that's the other nice thing about Android is you have the jack. So I could plug that in and, just listen to my music from my iPod or whatever and, through the thing. Again, I'm such a dinosaur. I don't even know if I would be able to sync up the radio in the car to Bluetooth.
Yeah, I hear you. It's so frustrating. Now we have we've got 2 BMWs and they both have the latest, a connect to your iPhone thing. It still takes me a half hour going through sub-menus every time I get in the car of to make this thing work. And I can't do it before it's I have to plan part of my day before I leave the house of just syncing the tech.
Well, when we were kids, it's pretty much AM dominated. FM was around, but car radios dominantly AM. Remember every time you'd be listening to a song or something and you'd go through a tunnel and would static out on you. That it's if you were driving someplace, the station would start fading and fake. Now it's with the satellite and whatever. I mean, you could just start your music in New York and drive to California and never lose the station.
Well, plus it's one source. I have Spotify, right? So I get my podcast on there. I get my educational shows. I get my music, certainly, But back in the day, that's right. You would put on the radio, whatever the guy felt like playing was what you were listening to. And half the time driving through Heartland, let's call it, it would all be religious stuff, and it was oh my God,
Yep, that was
rough.
Yeah, that was brutal, especially when we used to drive to Florida when I was a kid. Yeah, my father would be listening to like WOR or whatever, and WNEW, because he was like, that was always the Sinatra and all that. And that started petering out by the end of the Jersey Turnpike. And then, like, yeah, you'd have to find something else. And then when I was a kid, the first couple times we drove to Florida, we actually had to take Route 17 all the way down, because I-95 pretty much ended like in South Carolina. It didn't go through Georgia yet. Yeah, so to get the rest of the way down.
Yeah.
And you'd be and you'd have like all these little just local stations. And like you said, it would be like either like cowboy music or God.
Right, exactly. One or the other, you know what I mean? There was no way you were going to get your,
Yeah, it's like
whatever it is you wanted to hear.
Yeah,
it wasn't one of those two
in
things.
1972, I don't think in 1972, Georgia, I don't think anybody ever heard of Perry Como.
Yeah, right, exactly. The Italian devil.
But
well, remember toys that were like you just have to. There was no Wi-Fi. You used your imagination, like the Etch-a-Sketch or the Lincoln Logs. You know, it was just pure joy, pure imagination. No, like
that was the thing too. Like Legos was a big freaking box of blocks. There, you figure out what you want to make. It wasn't like some kind. Now Legos, they're more popular than
build the Eiffel Tower or build.
But it's like, now it's like you specifically build one thing, put it on a shelf, and you got to go out and buy another, Lego set.
Well, it's genius for them, you know.
Oh, yeah, I know. Hell for us.
I still remember stepping on those things, though. My kids like those, but I like that feeling of those things going into your foot in the middle of the night. Oh, my God. I'll never forget that one.
Going back to the TV antenna thing, I know kids today can't relate to the
rabbit eaters.
So, remember your old man setting up the antenna? Your old man's like up on the roof, and then it's like, your mom would be, or you'd be standing on the bottom of the ladder. Your mother would be like in the door, like, and then like, your sister or brother would be like in front of the TV, and it's like, 2 and 4, 2 and 4, like a ghost.
Paws off.
Your father would like, move how's that? Okay, 7's fine. That 2, 4, and 7 are great now, but 9's like, really? And it's like, you're man.
Do you remember like when those cable boxes came out? They'd have a wire to this long box with like 27 channels or whatever it was.
That was sweet, because and I get my kid could not relate to that, but that was like,
I'm gone.
Well, I came and gone, but that was kids today cannot fathom having to get up and walk all the way over there to like.
Well, this solved that problem, right? Now you could sit on your couch.
All 12 or 15 feet to like adjust to make it louder or change the channel or whatever. That box was a godsend, because you could just sit there.
Yeah, right. Put on HBO if if your parents were into spring for that.
Yeah. And it's like, puberty hit. It's like if they weren't around, you put on HBO and there's the chicks doing the exercises on the turntable thing that we were talking about.
Well, one step better than that. I remember if you push like the first button and the last button down, you put the tuner all the way to the end, you could get like these outlines of Cinemax.
Yeah.
You'd wait for 45 minutes and you'd see a pair of breasts, like it was worked into the story. You knew you were going to see it because it was a European movie.
Yep, you'd sit down, try and play with the horizontal and the vertical hold, which you can't even adjust that on.
Kind of wasn't right, just wasn't perfect, but it was, And
then for like all of like 2.5 seconds, it would come into perfect, and you'd just be like,
I think I saw a shadow of cleavage. All right, my old night was worth it.
Could have been a Heinz, could have been a Volkswagen. Either way, it was hot.
Yeah, right, exactly. The cutting edge technology, yeah. So, that box came and went, right? Like so many other things.
You remember even like, just laying there, watching something that like, you really didn't feel like watching because you're just too lazy to get up and turn, it's like kind of thing where it's like, my brother would walk in, he's like, since when do you like Laverne and Shirley? I'm like, I don't. It's like, Sanford and Son comes on in 10 minutes. Yeah.
I remember Sunday nights were big nights because you could Disney was coming on, and maybe if you stayed up real late, if you stayed up real late, you'd get to see Monty Python if you were lucky.
Well, Sunday night was Bonanza night. The
Bonanza, yeah.
It started, you'd get home. If you weren't at grandma's for Sunday dinner and you were home, you'd go scrambling. And that was, if you were lucky, mom would let you eat in front of the TV. And you could watch Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins. Yeah, and you'd watch that. And then that would turn into Disney. Sometimes you'd get lucky and Disney would be like a good movie, or it would be like the cartoon, like the Goofy cartoons or something.
Yeah.
And then
Disney was usually weird.
And then usually just as like, Bonanza was kind of like the signal for us to go to bed. It's like, because I came on at like 8 o'clock or whatever, start getting ready to go to bed. Because it's like,
what about the $6 Million Man? What night was that on? That was like a Thursday night or something, right? Like not quite running time.
The only thing I remember is Wednesday nights, there used to be a cartoon called Wait Till Your Father Gets Home. The only reason I remember that is because it was, to me, it was so cool having a cartoon on at night. And
yeah, that I don't.
And it's like, the only reason I was able to watch it was because Wednesday nights, my father would like work late. So it's like, my mother, it was just sort of my mom would just make like, spaghetti or whatever. And it's like, just do whatever the hell you want. It's like, it's kind of like mom's night off. So it's like, I would like sit there watching that. Friday night was always Sanford and Son. I think Friday night also was, vaguely remember the Partridge Family and the Brady Bunch being on.
Hey, here's something for you. What about a Christmas club? Did you do a Christmas club at all when you were young and like put away $2 every week?
No.
No?
I had my Diners Club card.
Yeah. I'm talking like junior high school. I've been talking like junior high school. You'd get a passbook and like every time my mom would go to the bank, I'd put in $2 or she'd do it for me or whatever. By the end of the year, you had $50 for Christmas.
Yeah, I don't even think anybody really does like you do. Well, and first off, we're talking about Americans now, so you might want to edit it out because it might get too political or sensitive. Yeah. When was the last time an American saved for anything?
Yeah, right. Buy it off future.
There's another thing. It's like, when was the last time you heard anybody saying it's like, oh, well, we're saving up for a new TV. Oh, we're saving up for another car.
Yeah, right. It's like we got it on points. Put it on a credit card, got the points.
Yeah, it's like you get the bug up your ass. Oh, I need a TV. You run over to Walmart, you whip out your credit card, you buy it, and deal with the consequences later.
If you think about it, points are really like the green stamps of our day, right? Like same idea. Remember green stamps? You'd go in there and you'd get like a book and every time you would shop, they'd give you X amount of green stamps based on the amount you spend.
Too, yeah.
And then when you had enough, say 500 green stamps, you could go to the catalog and pick out, I don't know. I don't even remember what kind of gifts they had, but it was like, you'd get your little prize. Same thing today. You spend money on your card, you get points. You can use those points as cash or
you'd have to explain
airline ticket or whatever.
Yeah, I never really thought of it that way. Yeah, you have to.
You're just going through my head, one after the other. Here's another one. Ouch.
Usually,
ouch, they hurt.
It's that an aneurysm.
They hurt, these dots. Too many dots. They hurt, Rufus.
Yes. I just get those and like get out 2 o'clock in the morning, is laying there staring at the ceiling, and it's like, do sheep count people to fall asleep? Yeah. Which actually, that would be another thing that you'd have to explain that to your son. If you were watching the Brady Bunch, they did a whole show on. Remember, it's like they had all the trading stamps. And they had to figure out what to do with them, and they ended up building the house of cards to.
Yeah, that's right. And what about when they went to Hawaii? You remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when they went to Hawaii?
Oh, yeah.
They had the little idol.
Well, not so much that. That was like a high point of prepubescent life because you got to see like Marcia in a bikini.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Hey, can you make one of those? The little tiki things from the 3D print?
You want one?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
I don't even remember what it looked like. I'm actually gonna Google that right now.
It probably looked like just one of those like cheesy, Mai Tai glasses that the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, probably from the hotel. So what would I Tiki Idol, Brady Bunch.
Yeah, Brady Bunch Tiki Idol.
Ah, very cool, very cool. So this is the Tiki Idol.
Actually, I'll go to one of the 3D printing sites and see if I could download the program.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Actually, I have a new 3D scanner on the way where it's like if I had one, I could just put it in there.
What are we going to call this episode? I'm going to save this picture of the teacher thing.
Can't use the
Kids today.
Can't use it for omens because we already did that, and it's really not an omen. There's another one you'd have to explain to the kids. It's like, what made Marsha Brady so cute, so hot? Like, yeah, you try to explain, try to explain to Johan. No, you don't understand. Every kid in the world had a crush on her.
No, it's her big cutie pie, moon pie face, right?
I don't know.
Now they're all stern and strident in their look.
Yes. Or the goth chicks. It's like,
Hey, every generation has their thing.
yeah. Whatever happened to like just cute pink blushy women? Yeah, it's like now you see like, you go like, I was in CVS, like walking to pick up a prescription for the painkillers for my freaking knee. And
Bionic knee? The bionic knee?
no, not the bionic.
No. The roofish.
And the Rufus invested in me. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a walking stick. Only
Walking cane.
old men have canes. I have
It's your third leg.
us natty, us like natty chaps. We have sticks.
Swing them about.
All right. I was looking for one that had like a built-in sword. I thought that would be like pretty cool. It's like, get the shakedown next time I have to go to court because I have like a cane sword.
Jump up on a table and draw the sword.
Well, you're right.
I shall not make payments for that long. That would go over really big, I think.
Oh, yeah. It should be on the 9 o'clock news.
That's for sure. Yes, right. Great marketing for your company.
Well, yeah.
More like you get a hate mail, you know what I mean? You bastard, you jumped up on the...
Time for your... You guys suck. You guys suck. You guys suck. Get to the point. Is there ever a point? Mail. There's another thing that like kids today. When was the last time you or your son Chuck ever had to like write a letter that worked for your business? When was the last time it's like,
I got a thank you note today in the mail from a kid that we went to his graduation party. Now that was handwritten. That's the last thing that is standing as far as a handwritten note. Yeah, it was actually.
Cool.
That was weird. That's a good point. Like I thought they stopped. It's hard to tell. It's like a handwriting that's this. Let's call it the new script. Messy, non-script.
It's like Johan actually enjoyed writing a script because I think it was just different. It was just something cool.
Now like a secret language of old people. Oh, God.
Well, you talk about how it's like, Johan just like, I call him like an old soul. Or then, Shirley will probably tell you that it's like, me like just ruining him and turning him into another me. One of his teachers used to actually like, I have like an old manual typewriter and I was like fooling around with it. I found it when we were cleaning out my father's house after he died. And Johan was just fascinated with like, typewriter. There's something to kids today, and he would just sit there, play with it. And it's like, one of his teachers used to let him do his homework with the typewriter.
Yeah, absolutely. Typewriters, then you'd see electric typewriters. They're all gone. I mean, I guess there's no more even people making them or parts or whatever it is. Remember the big IBM typewriter?
Yeah, with the
big IBM ones you'd see in the, like, don't get your finger caught in that thing, right?
Oh yeah, that was, I think I told that story. It's like, there used to be a girl up the hall. I should say, used to be a girl up the hall to be in college. We hated because most of them hated me. But there was, as I used to do term papers on the typewriter, and there was there's one class I had that I had it with some girl that lived on the floor. And she was like your typical bookworm where, you have to make your scrap copy and your summary and your this and your these and
rat copy.
Yeah. And then like, revise. And I'm like, aren't you going to see? And it's like, aren't you going to start? It's like the paper's due in like 4 months. It's like paper due Tuesday. Here's Rufus Sunday night.
Oh, I was so lucky. I'd write my college papers even out by hand, and my mom would type them for me. It's like I was a very lucky boy.
Scrap copy. I would sit there. I'd have my coffee. I'd have my ashtray. I'd have my typewriter. You'd
erase it.
Not and think, and then it's like, and you'd like, and it was just like dump out of my brain, down my arms, and straight to the typewriter. And I just sit there for like, 5 to 6 hours straight, just yeah. And then it's like, and it was always good for like, a B, maybe a B minus at the worst. And it's like, but then the chick that did like, put the effort into it and did all this, she gets like A minus, B plus. I'm like, it's like
marginal difference wasn't worth it to you.
No, it wasn't. It's like, it's like gonna take like, can't let college interfere with your social life. What the hell's the matter with you?
That's true. That's true.
It's true. Your last story that you were talking about with how many kids today still go on like the family vacation where you drive?
How about notes? Remember writing notes in high school?
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd fold them up into a little triangular thing or whatever, and you'd hand them to somebody.
Yeah,
and
like you was like you're a mafia guy slipping a tip to somebody there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Somebody asks you where you got this note, you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, you just swallow this note. And then,
yeah, right.
Even I don't even know if kids have like just the subtleties of just like body language like we used to. It's like, it's like the kind of thing where it would be like, you'd be in like class and it's like all you had to do is just like give somebody the look like, like a raised eyebrow, and you knew exactly what he was thinking.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if kids today are, still do that, or if it's like the whole texting thing just killed that, where it's, because I remember Johan used to hate creative writing. I used to love creative writing because it was like, you could do whatever you want. You could create your own world, your own characters, It's like,
absolutely.
Your superhero, let's call him evil. It's a mild-mannered CPA by day.
Well, folks, that's our trip down memory lane. Back to a time when phones had cords, music had a hiss, and the internet, well, there wasn't one.
And the only thing you streamed was your bicycle. And I was going down a hill with no helmet and no common sense.
And you know what? We survived. That's exactly right. And we got a few scars, but sure, we made some real memories. Yeah, the kind you can't really delete with a click.
That's right. But listen, kids, every generation thinks they had it better. But let's be honest, playing outside until the street lights came on, going over to your friend's house and hoping they were home, just dropping by totally unannounced, just barge in. There was a special kind of magic to that.
And hey, if you got your own kids today, wouldn't understand story, drop it in the comments. We want to hear your best memories and your biggest fails too.
Like the time I taped over my old man's football game just so I could like have Al. Oh God, never got over that.
Classic. All right. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next round of nonsense from Geezer's Playhouse.
And this is Rufus saying, until next time, stay young at heart, but don't forget where you came from.
See ya, Geezers.